Kyle, let's salt those.
And then they want to.
What did it say?
Yeah.
Try it out. Just went by.
Yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Mr. Dattley. Here. Ms. Dunn. Here. Mr. Harney. Here. Ms. McGuire.
Here.
Mr. Thorne.
Here.
Ms. Bo.
Here.
We've got 6 trustees in attendance. We've got a full board. We've got a meeting, the first of 2025. This thing rolling along. We have no request for electronic meetings attending remote, so we'll move to the minutes. We have a motion to approve the minutes of December 16, 2024.
Move. Courtney, vote. Second.
Moved by Bo, seconded by McGuire. Any additions, corrections to the minutes? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, minutes are so accepted. All right, the next item is the president's report. And beginning the new year, I will begin with the civility pledge. In the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective. Okay, the next item on the president's report is the sad honor of announcing the burial, the visitation for former chief of police, Montalbano. Mr. Montalbano passed away last month. As you remember, we announced at the 6th meeting on the 16th. The burial or the visitation will be Friday, January 10th from 3 to 7 p.m. at Miller's Funeral Home over here at 504 West Main in West Dundee. That's 3 to 7, Friday the 10th. The burial will be private. That's sad passing. Note. Okay, the next item under the president's report is a draft of an ordinance 2025-1. An ordinance establishing the position of a village administrator for the village of Sleepy Hollow. The meeting on the 16th, Brad Townsend from the Illinois Municipal Management Association took his time to come and explain what that process was and what we could do about putting the village administrator within the code book of the village of Sleepy Hollow. Mr. Schuster has drafted a ordinance for our consideration with the comments that Mr. Townsend provided us and the suggestions. We've also added a couple of things to that so that to make it a little bit more inclusive. You've all had it for the weekend, so I would like to open the floor to any comments, questions, or concerns on draft ordinance 25-1.
I had a few questions. On the first page, F1, I'm sorry, no, page 2, it'll be F1. It's talking about the additional responsibilities and duties of the administrator. And it says, in consultation with the village president, will create the agenda for all meetings of the board of trustees.
Correct.
I'm just wondering, could it be more upon the approval of the president?
Well,
Or is that standard? Is that statutory? Is that something that we came up with?
pretty much standard. Village president, controls the agenda to that point. It's just that the village administrator would be working in conjunction with the village president to make that agenda.
Oh,
So
it seemed to me the way it read was that they would be in charge, like they would set the agenda.
That's what they do.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was what the village president did, so that's why.
Right. Well, we're breaking that a little bit because the village administrator is going to be more of an on the hands everyday type of individual.
Okay.
So his input to the village president in forming an agenda would be extremely, helpful. Because all department heads are responsible to the village administrator.
Okay,
So all, you know.
Well, see, the way you described it right there, that made perfect sense where she, the administrator would be advising the president and from the departments and creating the agenda. It's just the way it read here is that, I don't know, it seemed more that, I guess that they'd be in complete control of it and just,
They are. You know,
so they could bring an agenda to the president and the president says, I don't want any of this.
paying them.
Right,
Well, I understand, but the
They-
village president
that's-
still has a role in creating and setting an agenda for the village.
right.
Okay.
He could nix anything the village administrator brings in.
Well, but that's what I'm saying here. It doesn't seem that he could. It seems that the more power lies with the administrator and I'd like for the. And I miss,
What was your suggestion?
well, it just says in consultation with the village president. And that part seemed to me that the overall final decision still was with the administrator.
And what your suggestion was?
I just thought that should,
Consent of the village president? or
that's what I
something
was
like that?
thinking. It would be
I
more,
mean, you could, I mean, the
What would
idea was that the village president should have the final say on the agenda, but the administrator is going to be putting together the meeting package and making sure that things that got tabled gets brought back
Yeah.
up and matters brought to his attention by the other village department heads and whatnot get brought up. So.
that makes, yeah, I get that.
But
I'm just getting stuck on the word
if
choice.
the board were to, want to make that a stronger statement, it can be done.
Anybody else? Thoughts?
No, I agree. I think there should be a consensus.
It says in consultation with,
How would you like it to read?
I would just like to say with the consent or with the consent of the village president. In consultation, so like advice and consent, it would be in consultation with and consent of the village president. That's it, to create the agenda. It just, to me, just clarifies the final decision
Want
role
consent
more
or
accurately.
approve it?
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
You want consent or approve?
I was gonna say,
Approval.
consent is the same according, yeah. I go with in consultation with and consent of.
No, see a bunch of nodding heads, agree
It's a good
with it, so
point.
that's a change that we can make.
Yep.
And then I had a question with that, noticing that they're also gonna be in charge with the commission, the boards and the commissions and stuff. Do they sit, and this is curious, do they attend the executive sessions, or is that something that they're excluded from? Not a point of contention, I was just curious.
Generally, the village administrator would attend executive sessions. The exception might be if it's about the village
Fair.
administrator.
But I just feel like-
Some issue that's arisen about that person's conduct or performance or whatnot. The board retains the right to exclude that person from such a session.
And then. The only other one I had just a couple typo ones that I'll just email to you, but perform the duty, So the administrator could hire without Kyle having to come before the board. Because I know that he's come to before the board when he's wanted to hire a part-time or somebody and we'd have to vote. With the way it was talking about the administrator being able to employ, fire people who are not appointed, would they have the power then to hire for, like Kyle wouldn't have to come to the board for financial approval?
The way it should be is that Kyle will have the decision of who to hire or who to fire. He will coordinate that with a village administrator.
Okay.
Who would then bring it to the board.
Okay, so we'd still have that.
But
I was
still-
wondering,
If it's within the budget, he would not have to bring it to the board. Unless you wanted that to continue. So if the Department of Public Works had a budget that provided for the employment of a part-time summer employee.
Mhm.
That employment would not have to come to the board. Necessarily. The
But the-
administrator could approve that hire, but it would be at the director's recommendation.
and we've already set aside for it within the budget from earlier, so it gives them a little bit more leeway without having to come before, okay. And then the last question, number 7 on page 3. It starts off saying to perform the duties of finance director, and I just wondered if Eugene was leaving us.
I have no plans to.
Okay, so it goes on for about 7 points, and I was just wondering, we had discussed at the last meeting when we talked about this, that you certainly have taken on more roles of an administrator and would like to get more back to the financial one. Does any of this here, A through F, does any of that, it seems to me a lot of it is stuff that you've done and reported to us on the board, so is this overstepping you, or is this in case Eugene is not here, so we have an allowance for it? Okay,
This was for the, not to replace Mr. Van, but to acknowledge that someday Mr. Van will decide to go on. And the village will need to do something about that, and that provides this administrator that.
wonderful. It looks really good, thank you.
Any other
Sorry, I should have
questions,
led with that.
comments about the draft?
Thought it looked good.
Mhm.
Covered everything.
Agreed.
In that case, we'll have the village attorney finish up these changes that have been brought up this evening. And then give us a clean copy of it, and we can put this on the agenda for January 21st. Okay, that was easy, thank you all.
It's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday meeting.
Yes.
Monday is a holiday, and we elected to observe the holiday and then make the meeting on Tuesday. One last thing before I leave the president's report. I was using it for a test blotter here, but we received this in the mail the other day. This is the revision of the transportation network in the Chicago region. It's called Revision. It's quite informative if you deal with public transportation. We don't necessarily have a lot to do with it, but some of our neighbors do. I will leave this on the boardroom table for you to peruse. Those of you with knowledge of the city will get an interesting thing out of some of the maps and the locations on it. When it first came, this back,
There's still buses to Spring Hill Mall.
no, there's some.
Yeah.
We have lost a lot of traffic, public transportation because of that.
It stops in front of Lifezone 362.
But I said, it's quite informative, and when you see the maps, you know why they printed it the way they did. But, it was quite a shock to see that. Okay, that's it for the president's report. We'll move on to the clerk's report. I have no report tonight. Thank you, John. Planning and zoning, Mrs. Detmer is not with us this evening, and I have no report forwarded. So we'll move to the attorney's report.
Report. President.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster. Engineer. is, in remote. Mr. Steele.
Hello, just want to give you an update is I've been working on performing a cost estimation for the replacement of the culverts underneath Thoroughbred, basically the bridge right there, and also Hillcrest, those 4 culverts that are across the road. I'm going to be talking with Kyle in order to get his opinion on everything, and then I'll be able to present that to the board, hopefully next meeting or the meeting after.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. There will be some information that will be useful in the budget process in the next couple of months. All right. Anything else for the engineer this evening? No?
That is it.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Director of Finance, Mr. Van.
Requesting the approval of the payables in the amount of $85,785.42.
So moved.
Moved by Harney, seconded by Thorne to approve the accounts payable for January 6, 2025 in the amount of $85,785.42. Any additions, deletions, comments, or questions? Not getting any, so roll call, please.
Ms. Bo,
Aye.
Mr. Dadley,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Ms. Thomas,
Aye.
Ms. McGuire,
Aye.
Mr. Hardy.
Aye. 6 affirmative votes, no negative votes, and motion so carries. All,
That's all I had.
that's it. All right, thank you, Eugene. Okay, let's move to comments from the public. Blank sheet. Blank sheet. Give it to the clerk. Yep, give it to the clerk. He needs to prove, not me. Okay, that puts us into the trustee reports, roads and parks, Mr. Harney.
I see what I was gonna cover under old business. We'll just, no report. We'll cover it under old.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Ted. Finance, Mr. Thorne.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mark. Water and sewer, Ms. Bo.
I do have a report. Actually, I have a motion to bring before the board. We have a resident at 908 Willow who had an outstanding water bill. It was included in the agenda packet to you guys. There's 2 emails. That was just because I want to be able to give you a little bit of the background on it. According to speaking with Wendy, with Eugene, with President Pickett, and actually from his own emails, this is not the first time that he has had late notices. It is the first time to him that it's gotten to the red tag where he didn't get a warning. It is, let me just say, it is very discouraging certainly to give waivers when there's a pattern of late fees, but one thing that stuck out with me is Wendy, who's been doing the water billing for a long time, used to be a resident here, has been doing water billing for over 10 years. I think it was 12 or longer than that, and has moved to Arizona, so she's doing it remotely. She has a great wealth of knowledge on this, but she didn't want to put more of a burden on Sharon and the receptionists here by asking them to include extra letters in the form of warning letters, which she had always done as a courtesy, thinking kind of the small town charm. According to our ordinance, we can turn the water off if it's not been paid for 60 days. In this case, however, Wendy had been sending letters to any resident who was going to have a red tag notice, giving them a 10-day warning as a courtesy. Once she moved to Arizona, she had stopped that. To me, that pattern of behavior is a practice that the residents, I don't want to say they depended on, but in this case, in his email, he said he was used to getting a warning before the red tag. This time he just got the red tag issued and he would like us to waive the $75 fee. The water has already been turned back on. He's paid everything else. Really, for me, it sticks on the fact that we stopped giving the courtesy warning before the red tag. And from that standpoint, I do think we should issue the waiver, but I've vacillated on this one myself, and I do think it's something that if there's any questions or discussion, it's something that could be weighed and voted upon.
Courtney, is there a amount of times that you can ask for it to be waived, or?
As far as I understand, this is the only time he's asked for a waiver. He has admitted in his emails that he's always paid the late fees. But just when it gets to the time of red tag, he makes sure that it's all paid off and it doesn't get to that point. We have issued waivers before when it's a first time occurrence. Typically, we've taken into consideration whether they've been current on all of their bills and not doing late fees. Yeah, any other questions?
If I understand correctly, the individuals lived in the village for some 20 years.
Yes.
And they have had some 14 or 15 red tags.
Yep.
So they
Red
have-
tags or
They
late fees all
have
the way
red
to-
tag
okay.
situations.
But then they paid them all. I'm not saying, but
They have come out, but
Yeah.
they have been through this rodeo
Yeah.
before.
this is
So to come back at this point after
My own-
times, I'm not in agreement with waiving the ordinances of the village.
Because if you do it for once, then you have.
My only issue, the thing is, it's the fact that we failed to include the notice on that one. And I did
It's
say,
not in the ordinances.
I understand it's not in the ordinance, and this is, I think, where it's gonna come down to interpretation. To me, when there's a custom of doing a practice, whether it's, I mean, Wendy did this on her just because she's a nice person, so I don't want it to be penalized for that. But if that was consistent for all those 15 times, we've established a pattern of behavior. Technically, as a municipality, I feel we owe a notice if we're going to change that pattern of behavior. In this instance, I think we should waive it, let him know that we've learned of the difference of our procedure, we've rectified it, and we will not be issuing those waiver or those warnings in the future.
When they get their bill, they see that they're, yes.
They've seen this for 15.
Yes,
One of
you know,
So when he got that last bill, did he say if there was no notice?
he got the bill that was in contention was September 9th. He received the red tag notice 10 days after that, so prior to the due date on the bill. And his thought, what I understood it to be was typically he would get a warning letter in with his bill that says you need to pay within 10 days before the red tag appears. Then the red tag appears.
But he got the red tag note,
He got the red tag.
yeah, which we had. Okay.
Motion?
I'll move to waive the $75 red tag fee for 908 Willow. For the one-time occurrence. And I will give him a letter of notice that there will be no further waivers and that we will be changing our procedure with respect to warning notices
They
moving
will
forward.
pay on time.
I agree with that he should. I don't think that's the issue here, so I don't think that that's something I would say.
It's a
I'd like
one
him to,
time,
but
it's a one, like.
it's
you
a
call
one-time
it- You
waiver.
call AT&T and it's the first time or one time they waive it.
Me too.
I agree.
And I
with
get
you,
the
Courtney.
late fees are stuck in our minds. They were stuck in mine. For me, it's turning on
He's
the,
paid them in the past. the
We've
late
had the
fees.
motion,
yeah, oh yeah.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Waiving a red tag fee.
If we do it based on because he didn't get a courtesy letter, if we waive it, then we have to make it clear that courtesy letters are not required going forward.
I think we're making it
I
clear
mean, they
right now.
should be right now.
Yeah,
but-
It should be
I mean,
courtesy.
I just totally 15 years,
Yeah.
15 experiences.
My concern is that if you do it for one, you're setting.
That's right.
precedent. And so who, like, I could come back to you and not pay. money.
But because you got a
And so-
red tag or because you didn't get notified of it?
Well,
And I think that,
Both, I mean.
well, we're not gonna approve a waiver for the red tag simply because you didn't want a red tag. And I don't think that that's the case here, but I
I know what
Sorry.
you're saying,
The problem is what do we do with the person who says that, well, I didn't get it when we did send it out?
well, we dealt with that at the last meeting and there's part of me that I wish this was just lost in the mail because it's already established and it's notified on our billing that if a bill is lost in the mail, the resident is responsible because they know it comes. It's the same principle that they know that it's coming and he should have known that it's late and he should know the red tag is coming. But this one, we don't have the stipulation saying that it's not on us,
and
to me.
I agree with what you're saying, that everybody knows when it comes. I misplaced, or I'm gonna blame it on my husband, misplaced a water bill, and I came to Eugene and said, what is my amount that's due? And I paid it. I went on vacation. I paid double because I knew the bill was gonna be due when I came back. So that's where I'm having, everybody knows, we've lived here long enough. We know the time that your bill comes and when it's due. So there should be no reason for excuse. I'm not saying that what I did is the fix all cure all, but these people have lived here for 20 years. And they know their bill comes and they've let it lapse for all this time, all of this.
I know, yeah.
And so that's where I'm having an issue, that we do it for one.
And it feels like it's pushing the envelope of like, how many things can I get away with? Well, now I didn't have the notice and I'm
Exactly.
very well aware of the pattern.
Exactly,
It's-
so I just, so I.
Yeah,
think
I'm
we're-
just stuck on the civil
I
procedure
just think
aspect.
that, I don't agree, I don't think that we should waive it.
And
because
that's
of that.
really why I wanted to bring it. I'm glad it came
Right.
before the board for a vote,
Because
so.
we know, everybody sitting in this room knows when their water bill comes and when it's due.
It's, they're already at least 2 months late before a red tag is.
Yeah.
So it's not like it came up on them by surprise. And if someone had a financial need or a problem came up in their life, we are more than willing to work with them to establish a payment plan. He chose not to do anything. And wait for a courtesy letter before he decides who wants to pay. So this is all on him. So if he's trying to make us to be the bad guy, then we can extend ourselves even more than we've already have.
And
I don't want us to, let's not say bad guys and I don't. Cause I don't think, cause I also want to make sure that I don't think Wendy did anything wrong though.
Mm-mm.
And I know that when we do things that are customary, that's not necessarily required, but. Or it's something that's done as a courtesy, but once it becomes custom, that's when I think we've crossed over into the notice, what we officially need to do as an official body, and that's.
What we're kind of saying too is that we need to send letters to everybody and say. That we will no longer be sending courtesy letters out, which I don't.
It can go on.
Well, it's gonna be expensive to send that letter
Right,
out. to
but what I'm saying, you know.
That can just go on the water bill.
Right,
That we
but
don't have
just
to incur
like his
costs there.
water, person's water bill, it shows that they're late. Like, open up your water bill and you'll see you're behind for this long.
Yeah, this was not accidental.
No, and if they keep doing it,
Did I hear correctly, how many red tags?
14 or 15.
Okay, so let's go.
I don't agree.
Well,
Okay.
Is that the
Any
vote?
other comments, questions? Not? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dudley,
No.
I'm sorry,
No.
No.
okay. Ms. Thomas,
No,
Mr. Heine,
Nay.
Ms. McGuire,
I'm gonna say yes.
Mr. Thorne,
No,
Ms. Bo.
Yes.
Or opposed, to in favor of, motion so fails.
I will go ahead and send him a letter, let him know of the board's vote. Thank you guys for the discussion and the consideration. And I will let him know that we will be asking for the $75.
Anything else?
No.
That's it. All right. Thank you, Courtney. Interesting way to start the new year.
Interesting, guys.
All right, next item is police and public safety, Mr. Diatley.
Yes, a couple things that Chief has mentioned to us before in prior meetings. Like to make a motion to promote Officer Nicholas DeHill to full-time status at a salary of $59,221.27. And that is in the budget. It's replacing the position that has been left over.
Gives us a vacancy in the full part-time.
Yes.
So you made the motion to promote Officer Nicholas DeJesus from part-time to full-time.
Second vote.
Okay, moved by Diatley, seconded by Bo to, I guess we'd have a promotion from full, part-time to full-time.
Yeah.
Patrol officer DeJesus. DeJesus. Okay, any other comments, questions, or discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire,
Aye.
Mr. Hardy.
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
aye,
Ms. Thomas,
I,
Ms. Bo,
Aye.
Mr. Dudley.
Aye.
6 affirmative votes, no negative votes, motion so carries. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Officer DeJesus.
One other thing is, Chief talked about last week, to make a motion to hire Anthony Algeretti as a part-time police officer to be appointed to the academy, for training. This way he can get him into the next group, that's going into the academy at the end of March.
Okay. Part-time salary is
$27.30.
$27.34.
30 cents.
30 cents, okay. Chief is requesting, okay, the motion is to hire a part-time officer named Anthony Alvaretti as a part-time officer of the Village of Sleepy Hollow in order to get him on the waiting list for the police academy, which begins, I believe, in March. We have to have that name to the academy for now, this
Yes.
month.
Yeah.
In order to have someone to be there the 1st of April. So this is the reason we're bringing this appointment up without the individual actually being hired at this point. So what we're saying is we will hire him and we will allow the chief to put him on the list for the academy. At the part-time rate of $27.30 an hour. Any other comments, questions, or discussion? Roll call, please.
Don't we have to move?
I'm sorry.
Someone's talking to me.
I'm sorry.
Question?
I thought I didn't think we moved or seconded on the second one yet.
Diatley moved
I moved.
and Harness.
I'm so sorry. I completely missed that.
I thought she asked that, I didn't hear Mr. Hardy. Okay, Mr. Hardy. How do you vote?
Did I say?
That's what I've been told. It's a rumor, but we'll play back the tape. The court reporter, please play back the tape.
Okay, we ready?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Ms. Bo,
Aye.
Ms. McGuire,
Aye.
Ms. Thomas.
Aye.
6 affirmative votes, no negative votes, the motion so carries. All right. Anything else for,
Nothing further this time.
all right, thank you, Steve. Okay, public buildings and environment,
No report tonight.
thank you, Jennifer. Building and zoning,
No report.
you, Kelly. And that brings us into old business. Old business, we've got the Bonkowski Road Study. If you recall, about a month, 6 weeks ago, we had a request from West Dundee on their proposal to lower the speed on Bonkowski in their neck of the woods. The 3/4 or so of a mile on Bonkowski before you reach 31. They would like to take it from a 45 mph to 35 mph speed limit. They are going to be required to have a traffic study. They would like the Village of Sleepy Hollow and the township to also lower their speed limit from 45 to 35, thus encouraging us to have a traffic study of our own. We have contacted the township about combining the traffic study with them and the county doing the traffic study rather than hiring a third party to do it. Well, we'd still be using a third party, but we wouldn't be using a private organization. Like, I think it's Baxter and Woodman is what West Dundee is wanting us to share the cost in. And I'm sure Baxter's going to be much more expensive than the county, since the county already works for us in the park and those things, so. I know. Ed, you've had.
Yeah, as of Friday morning, I talked to Dave Schultz, who's the road commissioner for the township. As of Friday morning, he found out that we might be able to do a traffic study for the whole road at no cost. So until we learn if there's going to be a cost, I think we should save that discussion until then. That as long as there's no cost, I'm in favor of sharing the cost.
Did he elaborate on that? The county engineer would do the study?
He did not elaborate at all.
Okay.
All right.
I know
It was an
because-
ongoing process that
Okay.
hasn't been decided, but he was told that, and it hasn't become official yet. Right, so.
Was this their plan all along when they put a park 10 feet from the road?
It was a joint program with the Dundee Park District and West Dundee. They got a very favorable grant to put it in there. And it stems back from a promise that was made by the West Dundee, what's that called over there? That part of the village.
Front neck,
It-
front neck.
It's a promise that was made 10 years ago.
It's not front neck.
Angle farm.
Yeah, what's that called? The Hills of Dundee?
Fair.
Fair. Evidently, long ago, there was a promise made to them that they'd put a nearby. So that's why it's been.
Just let little kids run around right there.
In the future, you notice the asphalt trail, in the very future. They're hoping to, at some point. The overpass, there's an underpass on 31, that might become. A bike path that goes under the underpass. Just the future, I know.
To the south end of the park.
So.
And that bike path might connect to Jelky Bird Sanctuary, which connects to the village.
And Jelky Creek down there was.
And they want to tie it in with the project on Randall Road too. A lot of hope.
So just come back in 30 years, folks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
meantime, don't let your kids play there.
Okay, so that's where we stand on that. We will wait to hear what the township has to say on the cost of it. And in the meantime, the village of West Dundee knows that we received their request and they know that we are considering it. We have not made a decision that was to allow to participate.
Is that park open? Yes.
Yes,
It looks like it's finished, right?
it is.
It is.
Like the walking path, there's a fence,
Yeah.
like it's stacked.
Yeah, still had some of the equipment covered up with like
Well, it's good.
netting.
Yeah, nobody's gonna go play in
Well, shouldn't say that.
No, ever.
Not a lot of people are gonna go out and play in the park in the middle of winter. But it's over.
Definitely not if you have a sprinting toddler.
Warm weather's gonna want an answer to this question.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it'll be done. Okay, that's it for old business, new business. We have replacement of the heater in the police garage. You need that? Okay, I believe we have got a quote of $2,700 from Elgin Metals, sheet metals on here. That is the replacement of a space heater in the Sally Port, which is 32 years old. So I guess we got our money out of that.
That's impressive.
The new unit with installation is $22,700.
I move to purchase the heater at $2,700 from Elgin Metal for the police garage.
Second.
Moved by Bo, seconded by Thorne to approve the purchase of a space heater for the Sally Port. The price of $2,700 from Elgin Heating.
I have a, question Barb had sent me. She said that, to remind the village board, a permit will be needed to replace the heater in the police garage. There is no cost to the village, but spec sizing are required for the permit and an inspection. So my question is, if it is the exact same, if it's they're replacing apples with apples, why do we need a permit?
Because they're.
I'm just kinda asking.
Because standards have changed over time.
Can you request to waive it?
The question I could ask for my water heater. It's
Bingo.
because.
It's because of
Got-
standards have changed over time and what
Okay.
was acceptable 30 years ago may not be acceptable today.
Okay, I just wanted to,
And you gotta
I
check
know
the
that they
electrical
don't have to pay
connections.
for
to
it,
make
but
sure
they
that-
need
My
heat.
dad set it up.
And so
Well,
I
the
guess
garage needs it.
the garage needs heat.
We need heat in
So
this
I
garage,
just,
too.
I just.
It is something that we, as a practice with the village, have with Mrs. Detmer in the past. We ask for permits on any of the
Okay.
building work that is done. We want to be sure that our work is done properly and correctly. If there's an insurance claim, we've got the money to the paper to say this was done properly.
Okay, but there's no cost.
That has been an arrangement we made with ICCI years ago. They will do the permitting, but they will not charge the village.
Okay, that's.
I
what
mean, a
just
lot of
wanted-
people like to take this argument and make it,
No, I just wanted to make sure that there would be,
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
then I'm okay.
all right. All other comments, questions
Yeah.
on that?
I can't find it in front of me. We have to go out for a bid for this?
This is under $4,000.
Okay.
So the board, it would just basically take the two signatures of the village trustees. But because we didn't have it coming up, we put it on the packet. We got it. So I got the motion, the questions answered.
State law is 25,000, so you're well under.
We're well on.
Yeah. bid.
I can say I work in the HVAC industry and that price is competitive.
Okay. All right. No other comments, questions, or discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Henry.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Ms. Thomas,
I,
Mr. Hardy.
Aye.
Ms. McGuire,
Hi.
Mr. Thorne,
Aye.
Ms. Bo.
6 affirmative votes, no negative votes, the motion so carries. Thank you all.
What do you need for this one?
Mhm.
Here. I want heat too.
Well, let's put that in the budget.
Yeah.
Okay. Next item.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, we are adjourned. Warning. Notice that we
Texas is not even going on right now.
Well, yeah, I'll take.
Okay, I mean, I got access to my email. on my phone. So you either email it or you call.
Yeah.
It's too-
I'll get that.
Yeah, it's not going on at this point.